Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, Gardening in Cold Spring Harbor. If you've been growing tomatoes in your garden for years, then you know all about blossom and rot. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 3 easy and very cheap ways how you, my fellow home gardener, can prevent blossom and rot from ever coming to your home garden, so you never have to worry about it with your tomato plant. So for those of you looking for that online gardening channel, what your first tips, tricks, easy yet proven gardening advice to take your home garden to the next level. Don't go anywhere, guys. Stick around with me today. Start with going below this video and clicking the subscribe button. If you do enjoy the content of my videos, don't forget to click the bell icon as well. This way YouTube will send you notifications every single time I'll upload a new garden video. Now come with me, let's get gardening. Blossom and rot is a common physiological disorder that is most commonly seen in crops like cucumbers, melons, peppers, eggplants, and of course, tomatoes. I want to make it very clear that blossom and rot is not associated with any pest or any insect in our home gardens. So absolutely no need to get any insecticides, pesticides out and start spraying every crop in your backyard. Now let's get into exactly what blossom and rot looks like and those 3 easy and very cheap ways how you can prevent it once and for all from occurring in your gardens. It is caused by calcium deficiency. Now, this calcium deficiency is not necessarily in the soil itself, but more commonly, it is the calcium deficiency within the plant. Blossom and rot is most common when the growing season starts out wet and then turns to very dry, if not drought-like. Especially when our crops are just starting to set their first round of fruit. Blossom and rot in tomatoes is most common when our tomato plants are in the phase of setting their first round of fruit. As the plant starts to mature, blossom and rot is less common. I have various tomato varieties growing in my home garden this year. Just look at all the flower blooms. And I'm seeing lots of busy pollinators right over here. Beautiful fruit starting to set right in there as well. As we mentioned in the very beginning of this video, blossom and rot is caused by calcium deficiency within the plant itself. So it's the plant's lack of ability to absorb the calcium from the soil. Most of the time, inadequate watering is the culprit. Sometimes we stay on top of the watering. So we water frequently on a daily basis, and then for whatever reason, we just stop. Whether the weather gets too hot, whether we get overwhelmed with our daily activities, doesn't matter. But that fluctuation in the moisture content of your soil going from moist, wet, if I may say, to bone dry, is 90% of the time the culprit and the cause for blossom and rot. Calcium is water soluble. Without the moisture, without the water, that calcium cannot travel from the soil all the way up your entire tomato plant to the fruits, hence causing that unsightly blossom and rot. We've been having very hot air temperatures. We've been having a heat wave the last 2 weeks here in the US. The temperatures here in Long Island, New York exceeded 90 degrees Fahrenheit with humidity levels of 92% and above. I did a very thorough walkthrough this morning as the temperatures finally started to cool off. And I found something that I truly did not want to find. Come with me, let me show you what I discovered today, this morning, on only one of my tomato plants. Right over here in my backyard raised bed garden, I have multiple tomato plants growing right behind me. On daily basis, I do a thorough walkthrough. First time in the early morning, second time in the late evening, to make sure that my plants are healthy and happy. You could see there are tons of beautiful tomato flower blooms. However, this morning, as I did my early thorough walkthrough, and I approached the very last tomato plant right over there, I noticed blossom and rot on that one single tomato plant. Let me show you exactly what this physiological disease looks like. From the initial first look, everything seems great, perfect. In fact, lots of beautiful bright yellow flower blooms. I'm also seeing lots of new fruit starting to set right over here. Aren't they absolutely gorgeous? But then as I bent down and went to look closer at the bottom portion of this tomato plant, look what I found. This water-soaked spot at the very bottom end of your tomato fruit, or the blossom end of your tomato fruit, is the classic symptom of blossom and rot. These water-soaked spots start to appear when the fruits are about half their mature size. As the fruits start to grow, so do these marks. They start to turn eventually dark brown in color and will start to rot, hence ruining, destroying your entire tomato fruit. What is that first, easy, and very cheap method of not only preventing blossom and rot, but also combating it all together, stopping it before it takes over our entire home garden? That easy and cheap method is consistent watering habits. Having a daily watering routine, staying on top of watering, especially during hot, humid summer days. I tried my best to stay on top of the watering tactics during these hot, humid summer days the last 2 weeks. However, because this tomato plant happens to be on the very end left of my home garden, there is a chance that I might have underwatered it, hence causing blossom and rot only on this tomato plant. So going forward, I'm going to make sure that I water this plant, that I pay extra careful attention when it comes to watering this tomato plant. And you always want to water it from the bottom. Never use hose to spray your entire tomato plant, or you're risking causing fungal disease. What is that second easy and very cheap method to prevent blossom and rot? And this second method might surprise many of you, my fellow home gardeners. Many of you might even be shocked. That second easy and cheap method for preventing blossom and rot is using antacids such as Tums, also known as calcium carbonate. Tums are primarily composed of calcium carbonate. And remember what blossom rot and is: lack of calcium within the plant. So how can we use this commonly used medication that many of us have in our medicine cabinet to help us with our home gardening? Because each of the tablets is 750 milligrams of calcium carbonate. 1 tablet will be plenty to prevent and stop blossom and rot altogether. Now let me show you what you have to do with this tablet to make it your miracle saver in your home garden. As we just mentioned, each of the Tums tablets is 750 milligrams of calcium carbonate. So one tablet will do the job. If you want to be extra cautious, you can use 2 tablets as well, but I personally think that would be an overkill. So what do you have to do? How do you use Tums to prevent and combat blossom and rot? You're going to need to crush this tablet as thoroughly and diligently as possible. You can use anything you have around your house to crush it. I'm going to use this right over here, and I'm going to thoroughly crush it like this. You want it to be powdered sugar consistency. Why? Because it's going to dissolve in the water much faster the finer the consistency is. You see it right over here. What is the next step? The next step is to use a sprayer. You want to add your crushed tablet into the sprayer bottle, all of it. Make sure you get every little bit of it because you want all those 750 milligrams. Next is adding 1 gallon, roughly 1 gallon of tap water, also inside your sprayer. Remember, we already have the Tums tablet in there. Perfect. Now what you want to do is, of course, you want to close your sprayer. Make sure it's nice and tight, and you want to shake it for about 15 to 30 seconds. Why? Because you want that crushed antacid tablet or Tums tablet to thoroughly dissolve in the water. Now that you thoroughly mixed your crushed Tums tablet with 1 gallon of water, you want to make sure that you get enough pressure in your sprayer bottle. Perfect. The next step is to thoroughly spray our tomato plant from the very top to the very bottom to the soil surface. You want to get all of the fruit, all of the flower blooms, as well as all of the foliage. One tip, try not to do this in the middle of a day. Try to do this early morning hours. Right now, it's not even 9 o'clock in the morning. Hence, I am doing this process together with you, my fellow home gardeners. We never want to spray any of our plants during the middle of the day when the sun is right above our heads. So you want to thoroughly spray each of your tomato plants. In fact, you can use this mixture before you see the blossom and rot occur. Why? Because this is a great preventative treatment, preventative spray. Notice I am aiming at everything, including the fruits, including the blooms, and the foliage as well. Don't worry about spraying your tomato plants, your cucumber plants, your peppers, even eggplants with the spray. Why? Because this mixture will not burn the foliage. It will not cause bud drop, fruit drop, and it will not harm or scare away the busy pollinators. This mixture is absolutely safe to use in your home garden, and it is very, very easy, cheap, and effective when it comes to preventing blossom and rot. When purchasing antacids or Tums, take a closer look at the bottle, guys. Some come with just calcium carbonate. There are many antacids out there that also come with added magnesium, which is also a great bonus for us home gardeners. In case our plants lack not only calcium, but magnesium as well. That would be like killing two birds with one stone. How can we tell if our plant is lacking magnesium as well? Very easy. If you look at the foliage of your tomato plant and you see that the veins on the foliage are nice and green, yet the rest of the leaf is yellow in color. So those green veins in combination with yellow coloring on the leaf. So the entire leaf is yellow other than the veins. That is number one sign of lack of magnesium. So if you're seeing that issue as well, make sure that the antacids which you pick out will have an added bonus of magnesium in them as well. The process is absolutely the same. You crush 1 tablet per 1 gallon of water and spray down your entire plant using that easy, cheap mixture. What is that third easy and very cheap method to prevent blossom and rot in our home gardens? That method is always to stay on top of fertilization. When planting our tomato plants or any crop in our home garden, we should always add a good, balanced organic fertilizer to the planting hole. Anything in the range of 5 to 5 NPK ratio would be great. I personally like to use the Sperm Organic Garden Tone fertilizer, not only during planting time, but throughout the growing season as well. Why I like this particular fertilizer is because it has an NPK ratio of 3 to 4 to 4. So it's lower on the nitrogen and higher in potassium and phosphorus, because I don't want to see too much leaf growth. I want to see my plants have a good, strong root system, as well as an abundant flower and fruit production as well. During the growing season, make sure that you add 2 tablespoons of organic granular slow release fertilizer around the root system of your plant. How? You sprinkle it right above the root ball and you use your fingers to thoroughly mix it in. If you're growing your crops in a raised garden bed or in a pot or a container, make sure you stay on top of fertilization. Every 7 to 10 days is the rule of thumb when it comes to fertilizing our crops. Because this is a granular, slow release fertilizer, which will take time to break down and absorb into the plant's root system, you want to water your plant as soon as you added the fertilizer. Why? Because it's going to help with quicker absorption of the nutrients. Regardless of what fertilizer you decide to use in your home garden, majority of reliable slow release granular fertilizers will have calcium as part of their components. A Sperm Organic Garden Tone has 5% calcium composition, but I always like to keep my plants extra healthy and extra happy. So how do I achieve this extra happiness and extra health? I like to give them an extra side dress of organic bone meal on consistent, regular basis. Every time I fertilize the crops in my home garden with organic fertilizer, I also add extra bonus. I also always sprinkle some bone meal on top of their root ball system as well. As you could see right over here, this is the Expert Garden Organics bone meal, natural plant food, which has 3 to 15 to 0 NPK ratio. It is a natural source of nitrogen, phosphorus, and calcium as well, which helps promote strong roots, bigger blooms, and better vegetables. So how do you add bone meal? You follow the same routine as you do with your organic fertilizer. And because it's been ground into very fine like powder, it's going to quickly absorb into your plant's root system. I wanted to turn this back around to show you guys how rich in calcium bone meal is. Here is the guaranteed analysis, the breakdown of all the components of bone meal. You could see right over here that it has 3% nitrogen composition, 15% phosphate, and 24% calcium, which is the highest number out of the three. So bone meal, regardless of the variety, is very high in calcium, which is exactly what we need to prevent and to combat blossom end rot. How do we use bone meal to prevent blossom end rot? We simply take roughly 2 tablespoons of ground bone meal. And as the name suggests, it does come from animal bones. And we dust it right on top of the plant's root ball, like this. And then we use our fingers to thoroughly mix it in, work it in, massage it into the soil right around your plant's root ball. As with the use of any fertilizer in your home garden, if you want to speed up the absorption process, you always want to thoroughly water your plant after you apply or add bone meal. This watering will help bone meal get absorbed into the root system of your crop much faster than waiting for Mother Nature to do her job. If you did discover blossom end rot on your tomato fruit, don't despair, don't panic, don't get upset, especially if this happened early in the growing season. If you're doing everything that is outlined in today's video, yet you're still seeing an occasional case here and there of blossom end rot on your fruit, especially if this is your first crop set like I have right over here. This might not be an indication of a problem, because blossom end rot happens to be prevalent on the first set of fruits for that growing season. For whatever reason, unknown reason, the first few fruits are more susceptible to blossom end rot. Why? Because these fruits happen to form before your plant got fully mature and fully established. Because many of you, my fellow home gardeners who are watching this video today, who are being loyal to me by liking my videos, by subscribing to my gardening channel, are at various stages of their garden careers. I wanted to show you one very interesting fact when it comes to blossom end rot. If you stay on top of the course, on top of your watering techniques, on top of your fertilization techniques, your plants will naturally grow out of blossom end rot phase. Again, these tomatoes that have been impacted with blossom end rot are the first set of crop on this tomato plant. I wanted to show you something very interesting right over here. Here is the second set of tomato crop on this exact same plant, and as you could see, no blossom end rot, and there are more baby tomatoes forming right over here, and you could see no blossom end rot on these as well. So remember, stay on top of the course. Don't get despaired. Don't get upset, and never ever give up on gardening. Stay on top of it, my fellow home gardeners, and this will always come back and reward you. Now that we went over 3 easy, cheap methods to prevent blossom end rot, many of you, my fellow home gardeners, might be wondering, what should you do with your tomato fruit if you have already discovered that they have been indeed impacted? The best answer to that question is to unfortunately discard of these impacted fruit. as this physiological problem will not self-resolve. This problem will only get worse as your tomato fruit will grow bigger, will mature more, hence making this tomato rather inedible. So unfortunately, you have to get rid of these accordingly and stay on top of your gardening techniques to make sure that the second, the third, and the fourth going set of fruit will no longer get impacted with blossom and rot. This is it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me here today in my home garden in Long Island, New York, Gardening Zone 7A. In today's video, we spoke about 3 very easy and very cheap methods to prevent blossom and rot. For those of you who enjoyed the content of today's video, if you found today's video to be useful, helpful, informative, in absolutely any way, don't be shy, guys. Show me that support by clicking thumbs up below. Leave your comments in the comment section below as well. I personally read each and every single one of your comments and respond to each and every single one of you. I truly and sincerely enjoy communicating with each and every single one of you, my fellow home gardeners. For those who haven't yet subscribed to my gardening channel, Gardening in Cold Spring Harbor, what are you waiting for, guys? Super easy for you to do, super pleasing and rewarding to me. All you have to do is go below this video and simply click the subscribe button. If you do enjoy the content of my garden videos, I want YouTube to send you notifications every single time I'll upload a new garden video. Don't forget to click the bell icon as well. Stay healthy, happy, be well, each and every single one of you. And as I always like to say, happy gardening, guys, and I'll see you again in my new upcoming garden videos. Bye, guys.